I don't want to like start too early. Well, since we're already here, we'll like officially start when we're supposed to start unless I'm told to start earlier. I'll share a little bit about myself. So I'm Elizabeth Pace. I'm the development director here at Wings of Hope Ranch. I learned about Wings of Hope years ago because Wings of Hope had joined the Chamber of Commerce and they had a family-friendly event and I came with my kids. And then they participated in a Spirit of Volunteerism award, and the ranch received the award that year. And it was the place where I used to work. They were a sponsor of the event, and I heard about it. And so there's a lot of things, a lot of like little God moments all throughout, as he does. But what was cool was that the lady that I worked, like my director, was an avid, while she wasn't a horse person, all of her daughters rode, and she always talked about horses. So Wings of Hope stood out, and I was like, man, you'll never guess where like last night, sharing about Wings of Hope. And as my kids got older, I knew that by the time my daughter went to middle school, I wanted to have a very flexible schedule. I didn't want to work as much. I still wanted to do something professionally, so I was kind of trying to figure out, and I always said, like, I just wanted to have something in the wings to just have, to do, that selfishly, I mean, I wanted something that just career-wise would keep me relevant, so totally selfish, but I just wanted to have something in the wings. And then, I know, isn't that cool? So Wings of Hope had posted in a local nonprofit group that they were looking for a consultant to help them with the capital campaign and just kind of help them formulate and get going. And it was like a 4-month or short project. And they kept me on afterwards. So professionally, I went to school to be a fashion designer. But in college, what I always say, well, I may have not made the best choices with this. I was in a sorority and I did a lot of their fundraising. So I always say, like, my master's was my degree was in fashion design, I minored in sorority, which really gave me a whole nonprofit, slant. And then it's just kind of cool how I did that, and then I worked for a magazine, and then when I moved here to Virginia, the magazine translated to marketing, and marketing, we were able to work with a couple of nonprofits, and I just loved that, and I wanted to do something in nonprofits, and the lady I was working for at the time was just so kind to me and helped me get started in nonprofits later on. So she sent my resume to everybody that she knew. And so that's always been a big thing for me, just remembering to be good to other people as well in that. And I went to my job. That director that I worked for really helped me out. We raised a lot of money, but most importantly, she encouraged me to get my certificate here at the University of Richmond in philanthropy. So I did that. And then after you raise a certain amount of money and do a certain amount of things, you can get your CFRE, which is your certificate of fundraising. So certified fundraising executive. So it's just like a little thing. And so I did that, and then here I am. So that's how God works. You guys are all here because I think you probably are thinking about growing, building, doing something, right? So big thing with that is just saying it out loud, dreaming it, doing it. That's what all the paper's for. So if you're feeling really bold, I encourage you to get up right now before we really start, because God gave us an extra 20 minutes. Take a marker. If you're here by yourself, that's fine. Take a marker and start dreaming. Start putting on paper what you want. And nothing's off the table. Nothing's off the table. So go. If you don't feel bold to do something big, I've got pads of like notepads, so.
Go.
Go. Go and dream. Dream big. Have no fear. Hey, Patty. Yes.
Visualize it.
I forgot. I'm going to get something next door.
Yeah.
Hey.
Did they start already?
Not like really, because we had extra time.
Oh.
I'm having people dream.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So go in and dream. Yeah. No,
We're officially starting at 10:20. She's just having everybody.
since we had the extra time, we're just building, taking advantage of it.
I was just being so rude. So sorry.
Sorry. It's okay. Forgot one of my props. Realize? Oh yeah. Take anything you want. And you guys are here. I was going to talk about you guys.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I know. I don't have here.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Yes, please do. That, yeah? Good? Okay.
That's a good call, right?
We allowed in it?
My drawing is terrible.
No, no. Got 5 more minutes of dream time, so keep dreaming.
That's not the hard part for me.
We'll put it on paper.
A million ideas.
Put it all there. Put it all. Don't limit God. Write it all down. Get it out of your head and just put it down. It does not need to be burden on you. I still have more dream journals. Are you dreaming?
We're using it in our dream.
Oh, perfect. You need a dream journal?
I missed your opening.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I still have paper back there, big paper, if you want to dream big.
Yeah, we can dream big.
Oh, everything, Judy, and more. Oh, you know, if you find my water bottle, that would be cool. It's, you know, the one with the green top. Yeah. So I have a plastic cup, but just if you happen to see it, that's the only thing. Yeah, it's like a green. No, it's clear. It was free. It's not fancy. Yeah, so all I said is that, like, if you're here, you're probably here because you are dreaming of a capital campaign or something, some things, a program, whatever it is you're dreaming of, just write it down. I can put more, if you want big paper, I've got more big paper I could put on the windows. I'm just not doing it on the wood just in case it, like... Yeah. So if you want to dream big, 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 big on big paper and draw, there's still a pad back there, and I still have more paper here. So.
We went big, so I'll give that back.
Oh, perfect. Okay. I still have a bunch of colors, so if you need more colors.
But if she has a
Other stuff.
she wants to go on. She can.
Oops, sorry. Jen, Beck, I've got a piece of paper right there for you. Okay. So it is 10:20, and it does not mean that you need to sit down or you need to stop dreaming. It's just that I'll just kind of get going. Keep your markers, because if things happen while we're talking, stand up and get to work. Okay. We will start in prayer. Does anybody feel called to pray? If not, I can pray. Do you feel called? Okay.
Father, we enter your courts right now with thanksgiving and praise for the assembly of these people here today. We pray, Lord, that the moments we're spending together, that your blessing is upon it, that your vision is planted in these people, that your mission is clear, that your vision is clear. And Father, we pray that you'll be with Elizabeth as she presents this material. Let the seeds be planted and let the harvest be grown. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you. Okay, so I already shared a little bit about myself, so we won't have to do that again. So a capital campaign. It's really, you can do a capital campaign about a lot of different things. Feel free, this is your time. So if there's something going on, if you have insight, if you have experience, if you want to wrestle through questions, please feel free. I only have 10 slides. So this is, I only had 4 slides the other day and we talked for 5 hours. So just figure, I can talk for a really long time. So so as we're talking this whole time, I'm glad that God just provided us that extra time to start writing down why you're here. So if you feel like if something sparks, if something bubbles, please feel free and stand up, draw it out, do whatever you need to do to just get it on paper. So what we did, what's your dream? Draw it out, write it out, speak it, right? I kind of almost think of it as like a testimony. Like, I don't know, I didn't grow up like giving testimonies or doing testimonies. And I was in a MOPS group, mother of preschoolers, and we had an opportunity to do what we called tea and testimonies. And I shared mine, and I just felt like this oppression that I had forever just got lifted, and what I was holding on to just got lifted. So I kind of think of this in the same way. While this isn't like oppressive, this is still on your heart, and it's probably in your mind. And unless you get it out of your mind, who's going to know how they can help you? I teased Lee last time. I was like, she might want to go on vacation sometimes. She might want to do something occasionally. If she doesn't share it, how can her team help her? Or how can she build a team to help her? So definitely do that. I'm from here, Wings of Hope. This is not my poster, but this is my poster. This is our heart here at Wings of Hope. We were on borrowed land from 2006 until last October of 2018. We officially moved here. Some of you all that were here last year, we had 2 electrical plugs and 1 spigot. And you guys were gracious to, no bathrooms yet, you guys were gracious to still come here and, learn together. So in about 2017, 2018, our board started dreaming, okay, it's not my next one, started dreaming and just writing down like what they wanted in 10 years. 10 years, this is what we want. This is how much money we need. This is the staff we need. We need a fundraiser, a grant writer. We need full-time executive director. We need a ranch coordinator. We need a program director. We need a part-time admin. We need an accountant. We need a barn and grounds manager. At this point in time, we didn't have any staff at all. And like I said, we were on borrowed land, and Miss Betty was so gracious to us to allow us to traipse up and down her driveway for a long time and bring complete strangers to her home and allow us to dry her well, flood her little patio home. Oh, Michelle, you're there. You could tell this story much better than me. She did allowed us to do all kinds of things. And I think it's definitely, we showed God what we could do with a little. And so we were just faithful with what we had and grew it. When Allison and Jane came up with Wings of Hope, they didn't have a horse, they didn't have tack, they didn't have land, they didn't, the list of knots and stuff they didn't have was much bigger than what they did have. So don't get discouraged by any of that, because I think when we put it on, just give it to God, He takes care of it. We can organize and we can do all of those things which really are helpful for all of us. But we know, but God will take care of it. I didn't have to worry. I didn't have sleepless nights because of this project. God just did it. I just showed up. You have to do the work. Last time we met, and somebody was like, well, I think God will just do it. And He will, but at the same time, we're supposed to tend our gardens. We're supposed to take care of the animals. We don't have our horses just out in the field. They don't take care of themselves. We're not like, well, God will take care of it. He will, but we're still called to do the work. We're still called to work. And so we'll kind of talk through that. But if you want to see our muddy, feel free to stand up, walk around, get inspired by it. But it's kind of cool because in way less than 10 years, we were on the land. Within 4 years, so much of that was, miraculously done by God. Any questions? Okay. So the big thing, as we're, so we've dreamt really big, and we have all of our ideas. I like to then just kind of throw arrows from our dreams and then start thinking about our mission. How does that dream, how does that thing, whether it's a program, whether it's a physical building, whether it's a staff person, whatever it is, how does that dream point back to your mission? So if anybody here wants to share something that they want and how that supports their mission. Yes, Greg.
We don't have a covered arena presently, and we have about 20 appointments a year, 20 days a year that have to be canceled because of weather. So if we had a covering over the arena, that would enable us to serve another population we can't today.
Yeah, yeah. And God is, oh, sorry, I have to repeat questions. So Greg was saying that one thing they want to add to Valley Trotter Youth Ranch is a covered arena, because currently they have to cancel sessions because of weather. And so the covered arena that they have on their capital campaign list right now that they're building is something that would resolve that and would point back to their mission. Point back to your purpose. Point back to your vision. So all of these things that are already established, you already have a mission, you already have a purpose, you already have a vision. Is everything pointing back that's on your wish list to that? How does it affect your programs? Greg mentioned, how it would affect his programs. How does it affect your stakeholders as well? So your volunteers, family, board members, leadership, anybody that somehow has some impact in your community, in your nonprofit, how does it impact them? I think something I didn't write on there, like we could go to Crystal Peaks and be like, oh wow, they have 100 acres, so when I want mine, I want 100 acres, but they do a lot of things on their 100 acres. And theirs also didn't come. It's fine if that's your dream, and if your dream is to add a garden and do all of those things, there's nothing wrong with that. But if that's not, like if you just want it because Valley Trotter Youth Ranch has it, because Spurring Up Hope has it, if you only want it because somebody else has it and it's really cool, then, but it's fine to put it on your list. Like when you're dreaming, like put it all on and pray over it, ask God to, give revelation to it. And that's the thing, like share that with, share all of those dreams and put them against your mission, put them against the purpose, put them against the vision, put it against the program, put it against your stakeholders. Ask people. It's kind of cool how one of our first donors, when we first got here, before we had land, but we hadn't had a building, one of our donors was a foster child that donated $1.43 because she knew the impact. She said it made a big impact on her, and Lily wanted to make sure somebody else could be impacted like she was. She was our stakeholder. Just think about all of those people. Make sure to ask your volunteers what they need, because we might go in and like we see things one way, but if I don't do sessions. I'm here for barn chores, so I can't talk to what session needs. So if we're writing down things that aren't that don't relate to everybody, we might be missing something big. So any questions, comments? Okay. And if anything, like I said, truly, if anything's like bubbling up in your mind, please feel free to just, stand up, write things down. I wrote notes for myself. So I don't think you're in this picture, Michelle, but we have some, I just put some of our leadership, and some of them have been around here this weekend. So the other thing I like to say is, as far as preparing, so if you are dreaming, make sure that some people are in this dream with you. So who's on your leadership that you can pull to start drawing on? Who's maybe not in that, who might not be dreaming with you right now? Who can you pull in to this conversation? After your leadership, so board members, lead volunteers, after you guys kind of, really kind of nail it down, obviously have your board, and that comes in with your leadership, really kind of look over it and make sure that they're shifting things and that you've got that board seal of approval. At that point, really then it's kind of just like pulling your resources. So who do you need to do your dream? Who are you guys already maybe pulling? It's not that early in the morning. Everybody's had coffee and sugar. Yeah. It's like on the sugar lobe.
I think you need someone who understands your local zoning regulations and codes to make sure that your dream's going to fit where you want to locate.
Yep. So Greg said making sure somebody that can help you regarding like zonings and codes would be somebody good to add in to your resources. Yes, Kimberly in the back.
Partners who can actually advocate for your vision and what you need to do, because it works better when you're people
Yes.
sharing your story.
Yeah, so Kimberly said having people that can advocate to this dream would be good to have on your resource team. So, yes.
Well, from a spiritual standpoint, we have an intercessor team. So we present to them what our needs are and our desires are, and so then they go to God on our behalf all the time, continuously.
I love that. So Hooves of Freedom, right? Okay, said that they have an intercessory team that kind of goes before them and prays. And Carissa, you're like right in the middle of all of this, so feel free to share whatever insight you have. So I'll just share like what Wings of Hope did. And here's the thing, like you can go online and look for a capital campaign, and it'll tell you all kinds of things. What I'm really just trying to hopefully help is just in the fact that like when you are reading all of these articles online or doing things, like it'll maybe make a little bit more sense and apply to you a little bit better. So I'm not like reinventing the wheel. I'm not like sharing anything that's mind-blowing. Yes, ma'am. Patty.
I had a conversation with you and also with Allison within the last year that really helped open my eyes. And because when we think of hiring people, we think of full-time salaries and benefits and all that stuff. And it is pretty overwhelming. We've done that before, but a lot of your team work on a part-time basis. And that just opened my eyes to possibilities of starting out small and growing. Yeah. And not feeling like this had to be full-time.
Yes. So Patty just said that for her it seemed overwhelming because to her it seemed like if you're going to start this, all of a sudden you have to hire this whole full-time crew to lead everything. And for Wings of Hope, it's pretty part-time. I mean, so we are still like 95% volunteer run. There are 5 of us on staff that are all part-time, anywhere from 5 to 20 hours a week. And some of us, Julia says that we have jobbies because they're like jobs that are really hobbies, so they're paid more like a hobby than a job. I love my jobby. Anyway, it's a great jobby. So I truly think there are people like myself that don't do it for the money, that just do it because we love it. Because I did say selfishly, it gives me all of my freedom of time. I was saying the other day, like a lot of our donors, one of our donors in particular is more of a night owl, so he will text me at like 10:30 at night and I'll text him back or call him back. That's when he has time, so I have time, but then I can take my kids to school in the morning, so it's a balance. To me, time is better than money, so find people that don't like money, don't want to get paid. It's great. No, I do get paid. So resources, like Patty was saying, pull those people, and it's amazing. And again, I think that's where putting it on paper, writing it down. It's amazing how many people are willing to help you, but they don't know that you need their help because you've never told a soul that you have this dream. You know? It's kind of, you know, and that's where I kind of feel like it's like your testimony. Like if you don't tell people, you know, how do they know? How can you inspire them? Somebody might be looking to do exactly this. Billy, who was our, was wrangled in to be one of our resources, he donated all of his time to be our general contractor. He did it all for free. And he was a tremendous resource, not only because he knew us really well and was very well respected in the community, but because, I mean, he just like took it on. We were sharing with Valley Trotter Youth Branch the other day that, you know, he would go and like pick up what are those? Oh, it's not a truss. It's oh my gosh, I forget. But he did teach us a couple construction words that have gone now. But he would go and like talk to a person and be like, hey, this is what I need for Wings of Hope. I'm doing this project. By the way, I'm doing it for free. So how would you like, you know, do you want to partner with, this is what we do. We help kids, we help horses. That's all he said. It's all, help kids, we help horses. And people were donating. You know, so your resources are super important. Like this drywall that we didn't have last year, the stuff behind it, the insulation, all free. Again, Julia and I, the entire time, all we would say, we don't construction, we don't construction. The floor that we're on, I think we paid $300 for like this floor and all of the other floors that have this amazing stuff. Like the door, I mean, it's just amazing. But again, he got on board and people like Billy, and not only do they like him, he's well respected. You know, and that's the thing, like make sure you're partnering with the right people. Don't just partner with somebody that like, you know, will do it for free. Make sure that there's somebody that gets your mission. You know, take your time. I went to a conference years ago and it was done by this guy that was from the Ritz-Carlton, and he was like, and when I was talking to Becca about it, and he said, don't hire the flip-flop. And we weren't even hiring them, and we were getting the flip-flop, you know, but he's like, don't hire the flip-flop, you hire the dress shoe. And that's the thing, like, even though we were getting the dress shoe for free, like, you know, we get what you really need. Don't just like fill in a hole, and then it wouldn't really work out. Make sure you really know them, that they believe in your mission, because that's going to be huge. And it's also going to like, you know, you're aligning yourself with them, so you want to make sure that like integrity lines up. So within that resource, Wings of Hope created a Forever Home committee, and it did come up with a lot of different people that, you know, had different talents and were willing to share those talents for free. So even like we would meet on Zoom because we were in the midst of a pandemic, and one of the guys would actually change things on CAD for us as we are all on Zoom together. I mean, this guy would have been paid so much money, and his grandson had gone through our program. But I think if we were like a normal client, he'd be like, you're fired. There's not enough money to be paid. And clearly there wasn't. Yes, ma'am, China.
What were the different specialties of the people that made up that committee?
So different specialties that made up our Forever Home committee. We had our barn manager was on there. We actually had our bookkeeper. We had one board member at all times. So even if one board member rolled off, we'd always make sure to have a board member on there, and they were that liaison and kept us making sure that we didn't get off track from what the vision was from the board. We had a project manager that shook everything up. We had a guy that does utilities, and that's like big plumbing. That's what I call it.
Project manager or a project?
A project manager that came for Wings of Hope that volunteered. Oren. And I'm trying to think, we had, Julia was actually on the team, who's now our executive director. She had volunteered with Wings of Hope for about 5 years before. So she was in sessions and did our gatekeeping. I think that's and then one person that does like site plans, so they do the moving of the earth and get everything ready. China's just laughing at me. So yeah, but what you guys need might be completely different. And the cool thing is that even if you don't have everybody just perfect, hopefully they'll also inspire someone else. And then we had the gentleman that was an architect. And so like while we did not have an engineer on the project, a lot of these other folks had the connections to get us an engineer, to get us site plans, to get our soil tested, to get the water, all of those other things that have to be done. Yes, Bob.
Weighing in here on this, my experience goes back to 1985 when I actually worked for the people building the Virginia Horse Center. You don't want an engineer laying out the site. You want the people who use the facility involved in the programming process, kind of like we're doing here, but with the 3x5 cars.
Yes.
I need this here, I need the horse washing here, blah, 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 blah. And you have to build out. Then you get the engineering, and one thing I heard is really good is if you've got a county planning guy like John Wilkinson in our county, let him know early on what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And I have not talked to John yet because we don't have a site, but again, at this point you just have to know what's possible. But I fear that engineers often try to do it in a very linear fashion, and if anybody's familiar with Temple Grandin, horses move in a more circular fashion. So I don't know.
Bob was warning us of engineers.
I'm not warning you.
No, I'm just kidding.
I'm saying that. I'm saying that.
Well, yeah.
I'm saying that you know more about your vision.
Yes.
Than somebody will
Correct.
tell you know about
Correct.
your vision. So when you're dealing with professionals, you need to realize that you are hiring them, not them. They're the experts on how much soil compaction is necessary to make sure the arena doesn't fall down, but you're the expert on how you use a certain property. And then, of course, the real question I have is, when we have this vision, how do we bring other people alongside to see it? When do we get the visuals and everything else, or do we kind of keep it in words?
Okay, so Bob said his next, so he was just telling, kind of just a warning of, when you bring in a professional, that it's not their dream, but your dream. And so I may have kind of, I guess, glazed over that, but that's where like our leadership is. That's where before these resources come in, that vision is pretty set. Not that you are not going to be open to different things, and I will show some pictures where what was said we were going to do and what happened is different.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a bad different, it was just different. And there were reasons for it. So yeah, definitely. And that's why it's super important to have that plan, because my idea of what we should do, Julia's idea of what, everybody has a different idea, and that leadership should have it all clarified. So when that resource team comes together, you are all knowing what you're going to do, and nobody has their ego on their sleeve coming into this. We didn't. Like, it wasn't about one person thinking this is the right way. It was the Wings of Hope way, and that was established from the leadership. Next thing is get your house in order. So all that means, and kind of going back to Bob, if you don't really have a clear mission, if everything's kind of quaky, well, we kind of do this, and we sort of do this, and sometimes we do that, and sometimes this, and sometimes that, and we don't really know, how are you going to take a gift? Like if you don't know who accepts a gift, what kind of gifts you can accept, all those processes, then you need to have all of those things in order, because then let's say for Valley Trotter Youth Ranch, that's going to fall all on Greg or Abby, because they're going to be the only ones that know how to communicate how to take a gift. But if once your house is in order, all of those things are spelled out and written out, and everybody knows what the plan is. And if your arena can only be purple and your donor wants it to be black, then you can't accept that gift. And you tell them, we only want a purple arena, and I'm sorry, we don't want your $2 million because we're only purple. Or if your donor says, I would love to donate $10 million, $20 million, but you cannot be a Christian organization, then you have to say, I'm sorry, that's all we are. That's getting your house in order. How many people in here can accept a gift of securities? So, okay, so stocks. Yeah, how many in here can accept a gift of stocks that are set up? Okay, you guys are. So have all of those things set up, because once somebody wants to give you a gift of stock on December 27th at 8 p.m., and there's really no more, there's like half a day left in the year, if you can't take that $275,000 in 8 hours, then it's going to somebody else because they need it to move. Yes, sir.
We're 501c. We should be able to take that, but we don't have a trustee in place who would.
That's what I'm saying. Get that in place.
We know that.
She's got it. So, yeah, so get that in place. And there's often, God has spoken. So for us, it started, there was a financial planner who helped us start an investment account, and then that kind of helped allow us to accept securities gifts. But, all of those things. And let's say you can, make sure that you know what you can accept. I shared the other day, like the Girl Scouts, up until a couple of years ago, and it's not that they've changed, it's just that's how long ago I've known about it. They didn't accept any funds from any sale of alcohol, meaning that if you did a fundraiser that had alcohol, you could not use the Girl Scout name on that. It is not part of who they are. Make sure you know that. Get those things defined. Are you okay if Altria, that does tobacco, sponsors you? Nothing wrong if you do or if you don't know that, because you don't want that's, again, getting your house in order. You want to know all of those things. You want to know your donors really well. Don't accept a big gift if you don't know who that person is. What if they're on trial the next day and all of a sudden you named your whole barn after them and it's a whole big thing? Don't. None of us are perfect, but just have that relationship. Know what your standards are, because these are all little things that, trust me, when you get in the middle of it, it's really hard to back up and be like, oh wait, no, we do want that, we don't want that. And it's hard on the person that's sitting there that's cultivating the relationship. I can't cultivate a relationship with the donor if I don't know what's allowed. And if I don't know what's allowed, I can make it up. I could be like, Wings of Hope does this, and yeah, we'll accept the money, and then I just give it to our bookkeeper, and it just gets deposited, and I have accepted it, and you've deposited it, so we said ethically that that's what we're going to do because I took the money under those pretenses.
So I have found, this is my primary job as executive director and founder of Promise Ranch. So I'm in front of donors and potential donors, business leaders all the time. And to avoid some of those pitfalls, because I've talked to lots of non-Christian organizations, and some have helped, I've found that when I present Promise Ranch to them, I say, I'm David Rao, I'm the director of Promise Ranch Ministries. I don't say, we're a Christian organization. I use the word ministries. Or we are a ministry that's helping children. And I'll drop the Christ bomb in there, and that filters them out real quick. You can watch it in their face. Okay, yeah. Good luck with that, buddy. Or, okay, we'll give you $100, or oh, great, our community needs that help, or I'm a believer, I want to know more, can I come out and visit, whatever it is. But I used that language in my first, not confrontation, but first, contact, yes, thank you.
So David was saying that his first contact as he's meeting new people, he allows them to know what Promise Ranch does. That they are a Christian organization or they're a ministry. Does everybody in your organization that's, hopefully you're not the only one asking for money.
I'm the only one. My wife will, but she doesn't like to.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. So everybody, because this is a big project, other people need to know how to have that conversation. If David doesn't share it with other people, he's the only one having the conversation. What if somebody else has the connection? And to me, I share, I'm not a used car salesman. This is not transactional. This is not, like when fundraising, donations, not transactional, because guess what? You're getting nothing from me. Occasionally, we might give you a bottle of water. Occasionally, we've had people come out and we had leftover chips from our fellowship event, so they might get some chips. That's it. We're giving, this is about our relationship. They have to know what you're doing. Issues. Try and look at what issues might bubble up, and even as you're getting your house in order, Bob just noticed, as you guys are looking at a capital campaign, you're probably going to want to have some, make sure you understand how you can receive money. Those things. Other things, everybody has different setups, like for Wings of Hope, this is community-based, nobody lives here, it's not on anybody's house. If there's issues like that where you're doing a capital campaign and it's kind of squiggly because it might be on somebody's house, make sure all of those lines are defined. Something I remember sharing with Allison after the property was purchased here, I said, what's kind of crazy, it's no longer your ministry. It's no longer, Wings of Hope is no longer Allison Boyd. Wings of Hope is the communities. Because before, and those are conversations I even had with donors afterwards, they were like, if Charlie and Allison moved, what was going to happen to Wings of Hope? It was just for right now. Just until Allison got tired of doing it. Just until Lee's just done and wants to go on vacation. She is. How do you like the beach?
It's like a board now, actually.
I know. Oh, maybe like 20th.
Yeah. There's several in there.
So research and study. Nobody likes this. I love the research. It's my favorite part. I love it because it quantifies. And I'm not like a it like quantifies all the things that give me the warm and fuzzies, and I'm like, see, this is what it's pointing to. So in organizations, they would say they're going to have a capacity study. So they're going to see what the capacity is of your community to actually do what you want to do. Here's a little secret. God's capacity is different than the community's.
God's gonna what?
I said God's capacity is different than what the community is. Like his capacity is like, whew, but it still gives you an idea. So what I like to do is look at, when I say community, look at your fellow nonprofits in your community. What are they raising money for? What have they raised money for? What's going on? Where are the holes? You clearly started your mission and your nonprofit because there was a hole. There wasn't, what you do wasn't there, or else you wouldn't have started it, right? But still, look at where money is being raised, look at what the projects are, look at that, be aware of it. A lot of that information is public. So you know who's in your community, just look them up. Look up as much information as you can to kind of just compare and give yourself like a little bit of a, oh, okay. What's crazy at my last community, There is a lady that, I would go to the science museum to take my kids, and her name just popped up there. And I was like, oh, wow. And I'm just like a mom taking her kids to the science museum, and I could see how much money she just donated to the science museum. Some of those things are public. A lot of them are public. You can go on GuideStar and just see what the other nonprofits, like what their fundraising dollars are, what their, $9.90, right? I can give no tax, financial, or legal advice. I get all... Or construction, no.
Please no.
No construction advice. No construction advice. So community, just look and see who's out there, what they're raising money for, what's being what's attractive. I will share, and I've shared in the past, religious organizations tend to be the highest percentage of dollars donated go to something with religion. So you guys are already up there. Children and pets are next. You guys are kind of there. You know what I mean? You guys are already doing things that people like to support. So now next, look at your organization. Look at your research. Who's been donating to you the last year, the last 3 years, last 5 years, last 10 years? Who can look that up right now? Okay, great. If you can't look it up right now, get your house in order.
Now, Elizabeth,
yes.
your EDA and your Chamber of Commerce, would those be the primary? And then, of course, there's Chamorro research.
For community research,
Yeah,
I just look around and I'm like, okay, here's Wings of Hope in this little section, Montpelier, community centers over here, they're a nonprofit, this is what their annual operating budget is, this is what they do. I'm not necessarily looking at I do look at numbers, but I'm looking at, I'm not looking at the Chamber of Commerce necessarily, but I'm looking at other either organizations or places that are really close to where we are. Just to have a pulse. Did you have something, Michelle? Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say I was manager of museum events at the BMFA, and all these public places you can walk into, and there's massive donor forms.
Yep.
Because these people want to be on there. So they're willing, they've got deep pockets, they're willing to hand it out, and I always said Mom used to say that the answer is always no if you don't ask at all. And it's all we're back and forth. So you'll be surprised how many people will say, oh my God, I love that. You're saving horses and you're saving kids and you're teaching them about Jesus,
Yeah. So definitely look at your organization, see what you're doing, see who your donors are already. Just make that long list. Who's been supporting you this whole time? Get to know them better if you don't already know them. Because they're going to be your main source of your capital campaign. Similar ministries. Check out Carissa. See what she's doing. She will tell you all the highs and all the lows. Wings of Hope will tell you all the highs and all the lows. And I was thinking today, I think when Pastor Gerald was talking, I was like, God he didn't omit the bad stuff from the Bible, to encourage us, to be like, man, we stumbled and it's okay. But this is where we stumbled, so maybe save yourself that little step. So look at all of those three to just kind of make yourself understand what the possibilities are.
Something I was told when we were first starting at a camp directors conference, it really stuck with me. A fellow in his 70s that had walked all of our journeys probably over his time, he said, if you're looking for a squirrel, don't spend all your time barking up maple trees. You gotta find the oak trees because the squirrels are gonna be in the oak trees looking for the acorns. And I had to learn that the hard way. I pounded a lot of pavement for dead ends. And you have to really give it to the Lord because He will give you that wisdom to, okay, I need to, and I'll be driving down the road past a business that I don't know anything about. And the Holy Spirit will be saying, you need to walk in there I'll walk in and guess what? The owner of the company happens to have answered the phone because the secretary was in the bathroom, is standing at the counter. It's crazy, God stuff that just, you can't manufacture, you can't
Yeah.
make it up.
Yeah. So really know who you are, know all of your connections. I like to do like a list of 100 because that's manageable. You know, look at least 100 people that you can like really gather, really share your story with. Just really do that. Yes.
I heard a term called your Dream 100. You know, just make up your list of your Dream 100. Just, you know, it's a term to kind of think about.
Yeah. So you just said, what's your name?
Todd.
Todd. It's Goetz, right?
Gets.
Gets, okay. Todd just said, look, Dream 100 list and just kind of look over that. Do whatever is manageable to you. But here's the thing. If I tell David he has to talk to 100 people, that might be overwhelming for one individual. And that's where like getting your house in order, making sure everybody has that story, making sure from the top you have that leadership. This vision is here and everybody else can communicate that vision. It's not on David. It's not on one person to do, because guess what? They can't do it. It took so many people's stories, so many people to do Wings of Hope. It wasn't me. You know, Billy had to have his connections. Everybody had to pull in together, and there were well over 500 people that donated to this project to make it happen. So we'll just talk about like this it should say staging the project. When you get it, I'll hopefully fix it. So at this point, you've kind of like gotten your house in order, you've gotten your resources, you're kind of at a point where you're starting to get ready to communicate. Start thinking of your phases and how you do your phases for your big project. It's up to you. I mean, all of this is up to you. I can't, you know, what makes sense for Valley Trotter Youth Ranch is going to be different for Spur and Up. Everybody's different. So do it however. This is your plan. This is your walk. So, you know, how are you going to do your phases? Are you going to do them by year? You know, like in year 1, this is what we want. In year 2, this is what we want. Are you going to do it by project? You going to do it by just priorities that are based on your programs? It doesn't, you know, you do that. Like you figure out, these are just some like basic ways to kind of put them in chunks. I do say put them in chunks because you will lose momentum if you don't. If this is just like, we're going to do this and, you know, whenever it kind of happens, it's kind of like having a goal with no end date, you know, like just having a wish and no real goal. Like your donors are going to, like if they're going to donate, they want to see something happen or know that it's going to happen. They're not just going to give you a donation just so you can keep dreaming and so that money can sit in a bank, you know. And even your volunteers, like those people that are on your resource team. Billy wasn't going to sit as our project manager for 10 years. You know, he just wasn't. Yes, Carissa.
I was just going to like echo that part. The importance of having that, but also being able to communicate with donors in the process. Like we got phase 1 done, now we're on phase 2.
Mm-hmm.
This is the next process. It makes
Yep.
it so much more palatable for them to go, oh, we got that done. It's in process, now we need this.
Yes.
And it helps kind of stir that momentum even in them.
And show them results of the project being used.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So this is just kind of a behind the scenes. You guys are figuring this out. You're already doing these things. These are your phases, your stages. Carissa said yes. Keep this. It keeps it momentum. It, you know, it helps us even as leaders, you know, to know, okay, to do this phase, this is what we have to do. Wings of Hope had a horse phase. We had different phases, and this is how it'd roll out because we didn't know when we had to move was part of the thing as well. So, you know, after we bought the land here, if we had to move in 2 weeks, you know, what do we have to have in order to do that? And we were fortunate where we didn't have to quite go to that extreme, but when we did have to move, we got the call. Like when we had this event in September, we had no idea that we'd be moving here with less than a month later. Got a call Friday at 4 p.m. that we needed to move by Tuesday morning. A lot of things happen really fast with the deadline. I will say that.
Time to second guess it.
Yeah. So I'll talk about our fundraising plan because that's what I do. But with that whole phasing, like I had, I don't construction. I don't know what like chicken, egg, who needs to do what. With all of those phases, make sure your team is there to tell you, hey, yes, we want to build X, Y, Z. Yes, this is all approved. Yes, these are all the colors. But hey, to do this, you need land, you need to have the land tested, so make sure all of those building things are there. And then all the fundraising person does is they basically say, okay, well, for this phase, it's $100,000. So I then have a goal, or whoever is your person raising the money, and it should not be one person, never one person. That is not fair to that one person. Everybody on your team should be fundraising. So then we know, okay, we have to raise $100,000 to make that happen. And then you kind of start thinking, okay, so how are these things going to be done? Are we going to do them by sponsorships? Are things going to be named? All of those things. Some people feel strongly one way or the other. Wings of Hope was okay with having named sponsor things. So when Billy said, hey team, it's going to cost X amount of dollars to build this, and we knew what was being built, then we could start, or basically knew, because then it kind of flip-flopped. Then we could say, okay, well, each stall, we're going to get $15,000 to sponsor each stall. And we're building 16 stalls. A classroom, different things are $20,000, $25,000. And guess what? Doesn't cost $15,000 to build a stall. But, that really is there to not only, those sponsorships were there to not only build it, but support it and support all the other projects going on. But your organization might feel strongly that nothing is named, and that's fine. No big deal. Doesn't have to be named. All of that should be told to your fundraiser team beforehand. Maybe it's just based on number of donations. So if you have a $500,000 project, you would need, I kind of broke it down on my little list, but you would then need, let's say you said, after you looked at the people that on your list, you said, there's a couple people on there that could probably donate $25,000. You kind of start breaking it up. And you start saying, okay, if we had 4 people donate $25,000, and then just kind of bring it down to, and put up those numbers, and then start thinking of people. All of those are individuals. Who's going to be able to give at that level? Look at what they've donated before, and that'll kind of help you. You're looking at your donor contacts as well. So again, if you've done your research, you know who's donating to you. So you know who you're going to be able to contact. And then you'll have a case for support, and that's something that everybody does. Whether you print it out, like Wings of Hope is really not fancy. We don't print out very much. We had a case for support that I would just print out on my computer, just my little printer. And really your case for support is just like a 1-page document because you don't want to bore anybody. Make it a pamphlet. Nobody will, more words, bad. Just think about yourself. Like, how much are you really willing to read? Just hit the highlights. Make it airy. Yes, sir.
Would you share that with us? Could you send me a PDF?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes. So I like pictures. So what we did a lot was we had, pictures at visual. 10 minutes. Oh my gosh, shoot. Pictures. She's like, yes, you talk a lot. Pictures. Show your pictures as far as like what you're doing, and just make it just very, very clear. If you have dollars, like named items and just make sure it's on, just the basic case for support. Maybe if you have a website or something, have something that then would tie back. So if somebody wants to read more, they can get more information. Share. Now it's time to share because you got everything in order. So who are you talking to first? Your inner circle. Everybody thinks that, hey, you know what? That person over there has a lot of money, so we're going to invite them, and we're going to invite this person because they've got a lot of money, and this person, they don't give. Why do people give? Because they have a lot of money? They give from the heart. They believe in you. They know you. They trust you. Share your story with your inner circle first. And here's the thing. Up until we had this project, Wings of Hope's annual operating budget was $40,000. 30, 45 some years. It just covered the horses, some vet bills. And I always say, like, why would somebody give more than what we needed? That's not a smart decision. We never, in 2019, Wings of Hope put on a gala and shared with their inner circle. And this mom shared about her rancher's son, and other stories were shared with their inner circle. I will say that Wings of Hope invited some other people that weren't really attached to Wings of Hope, and we never got a donation from them. We got a $50,000 donation that evening from a couple that was already very involved. The wife was a longtime volunteer. Was she going to give $50,000 before? No, she did donate, but there's no reason to give $50,000 before. We didn't need it. So don't think just because you're not getting the donation now that you won't get it in the future. You just don't need it now. They don't know that you need it until you share it. Statistically, they say that like 35% of your big budget will come from that inner circle. Also, I've gone to different conferences. It's like your 7 times when you like meet somebody, it's like that 7th time of meeting that you really are able to ask for that large gift. Think about it like marriage. Like if you went out on a date with your spouse and they asked you to marry you that first day, you'd be like, yikes, no thank you. Same thing, like you don't ask for money from somebody for the first time. And again, I'm not a used car salesman, so I never ask for money really, and that's my job. Just don't tell them. I share our story. I share our story and I tell them what we're doing. And it's not that I don't share and I don't say, this is what we're doing and it's all written down. People have to self-select. If I ask somebody for money and it's too soon, they're going to give at a smaller amount. They're just not there. And that might be their gift. They might cap out there because you asked them too soon. And
property to see the new.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make it like 30 seconds or less. We had a camp family come. We knew nothing about them. Their 2 children came and were blessed at camp. Through the dad picking the children up, I had a conversation and he revealed to me, he said, I do landscaping. Okay, I said, so I have this little vision of this little area that's always muddy and we always need it for these events, and I would like to make with like a little patio paver there. He said, okay, that's what I do. I said, can you do it for $1,500? Yeah, I think so. So the next thing you know, I get a phone call the next week, hey, I'm going to start next week, but my wife said I have to donate. Praise the Lord.
So David shared his gift and shared what they needed and it was donated.
But wait, I'm not done. So he comes and he builds that little patio and he finishes on a deadline the week before our big fall open house event where we had a band coming in to do worship music throughout the afternoon, and they needed to be on the patio, and him and his wife and kids and their parents had to sit on this grass bank, and it had rained and it was slippy and his wife slid down the bank. He calls me back the next week and he says, my wife says I have to build another patio. Within 6 weeks of my initial ask, we had a $28,000 unbelievable, like gorgeous patio seating area that everybody that comes to the ranch hangs out.
Yeah. And then next, because I've got like no time, community. Then you share it with your bigger community. You share it with everybody. So we shared it with inner circle. Then we shared it with the bigger community. We shared it with volunteers, with our rancher parents, with our neighbors. Yes.
How did you share it? Did you have like a packet?
No, not really. We had like a little case for support. And that's the thing, kind of what Patty said. Don't think it has to be this huge thing. Wings of Hope didn't even have business cards until this year, and I hoard them, like I tell people. Because I don't like to spend money on that. I'm like, I want our money to be spent on our programs, on our needs. If somebody does donate, that's awesome. Actually, we had a couple things were printed, and somebody did come and they're like, I can print your things. They did print them. They kept printing different things. I went to her house to pick things up. They've actually now sponsored a stall. But again, I never even asked them for a stall donation, but the sweet lady printed all of these materials for free for us, and our communication, our relationship, and then you do share it with the public. You kind of just continuously share. You invite people in. You tell them what's going on. Updates, like Chris was saying, progress. Like share with people the progress. Share with them the changes. I always share with people. And I put that first picture on because when Wings of Hope started, we were building a barn. That's what we were doing. We were building a big red barn. And I met with our donor that ended up donating for the arena. He did not like the color red. For over a year I knew this, and when he called us, I knew that the barn couldn't be red, and we had to be okay with that if we were taking that donation. We didn't have to take it. The ministry, stay focused on your ministry as well, because you can't have all of this pool of money going to your capital campaign project and then your ministry suffering. So make sure in all of this, as you're communicating all of these big things that are happening, that your ministry is still there. It is still shining. It is still going. You are still sharing about it. And then celebrate. Like celebrate all of the victories, the little ones, the big ones. We had so many people come through here for hard hat tours, and it was amazing. I personally love small events, like events where I'm only giving you water if you're lucky. And it might come out of a hose. Because to me, that's when you're having those relationships. And I've told people, God humbles me here so much. We wanted to have this kind of a bigger event. Everybody was dropping like flies. We ended up with 5 people. And again, it was kind of like what David was saying, like as I was looking at these people, sometimes like you just ask God to just kind of, we're out of time. Just look for people to kind of just shine a light and have you talk to them. And they did. And a couple of the people that came are still monthly donors to this project and actually give twice a month very generously. Another couple ended up being a stall sponsor, now a horse sponsor, now also a monthly donor in addition to all of those things. But that wouldn't have happened if we had 200 people there. Again, it was that relationship. And then this really was my last slide. Just reflect on all the good things. This is my wish right here. And if our leadership team doesn't tell me something to not do, then we might get a little pavilion like that. But if you have questions, I'm happy to answer anything during lunch. The slides will be shared. So thank you. Sorry, apparently I need a lot more time.